In an offseason that was filled with subtle but strategic moves, the Denver Broncos managed to bolster their roster through a series of key signings. Their 2024 free agency brought in a variety of contributors, particularly for their elite defense. Veterans like Brandon Jones, Malcolm Roach, and Cody Barton were welcomed to the Mile High City, and they all added depth and experience to a defense that's been a team strength. The Broncos, however, faced a tricky financial situation with a limited salary cap, forcing them to be selective. Despite some notable successes, the Broncos had a few missteps, and none more glaring than the acquisition of wide receiver Josh Reynolds. The decision to sign Reynolds, who agreed to a 2-year contract with more than $4.2 million in guaranteed money, quickly became a point of contention. Pro Football Focus, a trusted resource for NFL analysis, dubbed the signing the Broncos' worst free agent move of 2024. According to PFF's Dalton Wasserman, Reynolds was a non-factor in Denver, catching just 12 passes for 183 yards and a touchdown before being replaced by more productive players. His brief tenure in the orange and blue ended when he was waived in December, a casualty of the team's roster management decisions. The veteran wideout was ultimately released after the Broncos gave more playing time to younger players like rookies Troy Franklin and Devaughan Vell, whose emergence made Reynolds expendable. The problems for Reynolds began almost immediately. Upon joining the Broncos, he faced stiff competition from the rising stars in the wide receiver group, and his involvement on the field quickly diminished. To complicate matters, Reynolds suffered a hand injury in the middle of the season, placing him on injured reserve. Just when it seemed like he might be able to return, the situation took a darker turn. He was injured in a shooting incident, further sidelining him and keeping him out of action for an extended period. When December came, it was clear that Reynolds' time in Denver was over. He had posted lackluster statistics, and despite a promising contract, his contributions were simply too minimal to justify keeping him on the roster. Head coach Sean Payton acknowledged the situation, noting that it became a numbers game as players returned from injury and younger options proved their worth. While Payton expressed gratitude for Reynolds' efforts, it was clear that the Broncos needed to make room for those who had been performing better. Reynolds, who was 30 years old when he signed with the Broncos, finished his season with just a single reception during a short stint with the Jacksonville Jaguars after his release. It's a sobering reminder of how quickly fortunes can change in the NFL, especially when injuries and unexpected setbacks alter a player's trajectory. For the Broncos, it was a move that failed to pay off in the way they had hoped. As the Broncos continue to refine their roster under Payton's leadership, the team's focus will remain on finding the right mix of veterans and youthful talent. They learned the hard way that, sometimes, even the most well-intentioned signings can go awry. And to keep up with the latest news and analysis on the Broncos, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about the Josh Reynolds signing? Was it a necessary risk or did the Broncos get burned? Let us know.